Before we begin this episode, I need only 60 seconds of your attention. This week and this week only, we do our only fundraiser of the year, GiveTorch.net. What do? We ask our friends, our listeners, our viewers, our participants to partner with us so that we can continue doing the work we do. We don't cancel any classes. We don't make any exceptions for days off so that we can raise money. No, we want to continue to teach. We want to continue to influence in every way we can. Just so that you know, last year, in 2025, our videos grew 295% in their exposure, in their viewership. Our podcasts grew, some of them 10%, some of them 30, 40, 50, 60, some of them 200%. Really unbelievable growth in the listenership of our podcasts. But not only that, we have in our Torch Center, we have ongoing classes. We have lunch and learns. We have evening classes in Chavaraz in people's homes. We have our Torchwood community. We have Torch Unify, the new young professional division of Torch. We are guns blazing, doing unbelievable things, and we want your partnership. We need your partnership. GiveTorch.net. Thank you. And if you want to hear an extended pitch, you can listen at the end of this podcast. We have some testimonials from participants, and you can hear more about what we do. My dear friends, thank you and enjoy the episode.
You're listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe of Torch in Houston, Texas. This is the Everyday Judaism Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Everyday Judaism Podcast. Today, we are going to tackle the laws of Kashering Utensils. In Hebrew, it's known as Hagalah. This is coming from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, the abridged code of Jewish law. Halacha, Siman number 116, Siman Kuf Tes Zayin. So, when a utensil is used for cooking non-kosher food or Chametz, the flavor of that food is absorbed into its walls. This is a very fundamental principle. You have to understand. It's absorbed into the walls of the utensils. When other food is subsequently cooked in the utensil, the flavor of the non-kosher food or chametz is emitted from the walls of the utensil and can become absorbed in the food, causing it to become prohibited. Therefore, in order to permit such utensils to be used for kosher or for Pesach foods, the absorbed prohibited flavor must first be removed. This halacha is derived from the verses in Numbers, chapter 31, verse 22 and 23, in which Elazar the Kohen instructs the soldiers returning from war against Midian on the procedure of kashering various utensils found among the spoils of war. Kol davar asher yavo ba'esh taviru ba'esh v'toher. Only the silver and the gold and the silver, the copper, the iron, the tin, and the lead, everything that comes into the fire, you shall pass through the fire and it will be purified. The purification process is based on the principle of Kebol'o Kach Pol'to. The way it absorbs it, the same manner in which the forbidden matter was absorbed, so it is expelled. Therefore, the purification requirement of each utensil or vessel is based on the manner in which the forbidden flavor was absorbed. For example, a utensil that was used by being heated on a fire, a kli rishon, primary vessel, so you had it on your stove, heated up on the fire, must be kashered in such a utensil, while a utensil upon which a hot liquid was poured may be kashered by pouring hot water onto it, known as irui. This siman discusses the laws of purging utensils that were used for chametz or not kosher in order to permit their use on Pesach or permitting their use anytime. It should be noted that although Hagalah purging with boiling water may be performed when halachically appropriate, nevertheless, due to various considerations, including the difficulty of performing Hagalah, the limitations of its effectiveness for certain types of utensils, as well as the availability of utensils at a reasonable price, nowadays, Practically all Jewish households keep separate sets of Pesach utensils stored away for the entire year and rely on Hagalah or Libun, which is burning something with a flame, with an open flame, primarily for items such as sinks, stoves, and ovens, as well as other items that are impractical or expensive to replace for Pesach. So again, today it is very economical or relatively economical to just buy another set of dishes, to buy another set of pots and pans. So we have separate sets for Pesach, and therefore it is not as commonplace for people to do ha'agalah for items that they want to use for Pesach. Now, I'll give you an example where many people do ha'agalah. One of them would be your silverware. So if you have your Kiddush cup or your Kiddush goblet that's made out of silver that you want to use for Pesach, for your 4 cups of wine by the Pesach Seder. So how you're using it, you use it during the year, you use it on your regular Shabbos table with bread, with chametz, with other things, with your leavened items. Now you want to use it on your Pesach Seder, it has to go through this kashering process of ha'agalah. Okay? Because buying a silver goblet could be expensive, especially with the price of silver is at right now, it could be exceedingly unreasonable for someone to buy another one. Okay, so now the halacha is going to talk about the practical steps of how this is done. Kitzur begins the Siman with a discussion of which types of utensils may be kashered. Kol klei cheres, any earthenware utensil shenishtamish bo chametz that was used for chametz, lo mehani le lo hagalah v'lo libun, can never be purged from its status. Okay, not libun, not hagalah. Libun is again direct fire. I have a blowtorch that I have for Pesach, and the grates, for example, for our stove, I put it under direct fire, so it's like a blowtorch going to it. It burns everything out of it. Okay. It's cleaned first, and make sure there's nothing on it, and then just fire, actual blowtorch, fire. So for an earthenware utensil, neither hagalah nor libun, purging by fire, is effective. None of them are effective. Aval hatanurim ba'kiros. However, regarding ovens and stoves, habnuyim ma'avanim ulevenim, that are constructed from stone or brick, mehani libun, then direct fire, libun, is effective for them. But tanurim shehem beveis hachoref, regarding the stoves of the winter house was an area that was better insulated from the cold and heated with wood-burning stove, whose stovetop was used for cooking. No hagin delo mahani luhu hechsher. The custom is that kashering is not effective for them. And when one wishes to put a pot on the stove on Pesach, they first should lay down on it tas shel barzel, a metal sheet, and on top of it you can put the pot for cooking. And this is effective. As well as stoves that are constructed of tiles as well. Clay eights, wooden utensils, v'klei matachos, and metal utensils, v'klei even, and stone utensils, v'klei eitzim, and bone utensil, etzem. And bone utensils, mehani lu hagalah, may be kashered with hagalah. So what is hagalah? Hagalah is, very, very simply, and I'm sure he's going to mention it in a few minutes, is that basically, imagine you take a big pot, a big soup pot, industrial size soup pot. Fill it up with water, and you put it under a fire. It's going to take a long time. But if you put one of those Texas size burners, are they called corn burners or something? They have a name for it. The ones, the big burners, the propane burners. So they basically, those burners will heat up that water to the point where it is bubbling. So it's 212 degrees. And once it is bubbling, you can put the item in there. Be very, very careful, obviously. You put this, let's talk about our silver goblet that we want to kasher for Pesach. You put that silver goblet in that bubbling water, and then you take it out, and it is now fresh and clean of all flavors, all absorption of anything. It has been burnt out, as good as new. So now it's not milk, it's not meat, it's not parv, it's not treif, it is neutral. It's do with it as you wish. Okay? So that's an example. We'll use that example whenever we're talking. Imagine it's a big pot filled with bubbling water at 212 degrees. That is Hagalah. Libun is when you use a blowtorch, which is considerably hotter than 212 degrees, and burn it to whatever may have been on it. You're burning it out, and it's no longer there. Okay, so those are the two types of ways you can kasher it. There's another way, by the way, which is irui, which is direct pouring of water. But again, getting the water to that bubbling temperature, and you pour it. So you're in a sink. What are you going to do in a sink? You're not going to take the sink and put it into a pot, right? So you have to pour water. The bubbling water you pour onto the sink. Same thing as with your countertops. Your granite countertops, your marble countertops, if you have stainless steel countertops, same thing. You can kasher it with irui, which is pouring that bubbling hot water, 212 degrees, on it. Okay. However, if it is an article that gets ruined with boiling water, such as utensils whose parts are glued together with an adhesive, and by pouring boiling water or putting it into boiling water will weaken it. And even if only the handle is glued together with an adhesive, Hagalah will not be effective, because we're concerned because we're concerned that he's not going to properly kasher this utensil. And therefore, Hagalah is not appropriate for it, and it is not effective either. Halacha number 3. Hagalah is effective only to remove flavor that is absorbed in the walls of the utensil, not for actual chametz that is adhered to the utensil. Therefore, before Hagalah, the utensil must be clean and prepared for Hagalah. So this is another thing that we need to understand, that when they're going to announce, the HK, the Houston Kosher Association, does it now. Torch used to do it. We used to do it at the JCC every year. We used to do Hagalah. And anybody who wanted to take their non-kosher for Passover utensils and make them kosher for Passover, they would bring it and we would do Hagalah. What was the requirement? The requirement was, number 1, it had to be clean. That means you can't have, crusted over, dried, whatever it was, chametz on the pot or pan. It had to be sparkling clean. And number 2, there's another qualification we'll see very shortly, it had to be not used for at least 24 hours. Not used for at least 24 hours. The same applies for anything you kasher. So if you're kashering an oven, it can't be used for 24 hours. You're kashering a sink, it can't be used for 24 hours. It has to be spotless clean. You have to clean it. Same thing with your countertops. Same thing with everything else. It has to be clean and then not used for 24 hours before kashering it. Prior to performing Hagalah on a utensil, one must clean it well. Minachaluda, from rust, v'kadoma, and the like. That it should be totally clean. Aval maros, mere discoloration, however, ein b'hem kpeda, does not present any concern. V'im yesh gumos bakli, and if the utensils has indentations, sorach lenakram hetev, they must be cleaned out very well. V'im uklimatachas, if it is a metal utensil, yasim ala gumos gecholim, then he should place coals on the indentations, lelaben sham, and perform the libun. Libun is what? The torch on it. Ve'achar kach yagilu, and then perform hagalah on the utensils. Ve'im yefshel lenakos heitef hagumos ve'astokim, and if it is impossible to clean out the holes and the crevices well, ve'gam yefshel alabin sham, and you can't either do libun with direct fire on it, ein lo takana, then there's no remedy, and this vessel cannot be kashered. Therefore, basakinim o bekatos, regarding the knives with handles, tzrichin ledaktek heitev, one may take a special care. Im mo'elem hagalah, if hagalah is effective on them, u'mitzvah min hamuvchor, it is proper lemisha efshalah, to one who is capable, sheyiknu lo sakinim chadashim lePesach, to buy new knives for Pesach, because they have all these little cuts in the knife, in the blade, and there may be chametz stuck in there. So therefore, you're going to try to do the best you can, obviously, but it still may not get it out of there. And therefore, it is best to have a different set for Pesach. Halacha number 4. Keilim shemishtamshim bahem al yidei ha'or. Utensils that are used with fire. Bli mayim, without water. Tzrichin libun, they need direct fire, they need libun. V'lachein, therefore, ha'aganos v'hamachavos, basins and pans, she'ofen b'hem chametz, that are used to bake with it chametz. Tzrichin libun, they need libun. V'halibun tzorich liyos lechatchila. Initially, the libun should be libun chazak, a strong libun, ad sheyu nitzotzos nitazimim, to the point where sparks fly out from the direct torching. It's like sparks. You see sparks because it's taken away everything that is on it. V'hamarde shel eitz, a baker's wooden shovel, upon which chametz dough is inserted into the oven. Ein lo takana, has no remedy, for since the heat of the fire causes the dough to become absorbed in the shovel without a liquid medium, the required manner of kashering is through libun chamor. Since a wooden shovel would not withstand such heat, it would totally burn it. Therefore, it cannot be kashered for Pesach. Halacha number 5. The following seifim discuss the proper method of hagalah for various utensils. Kitzur begins with a discussion regarding a case that was commonplace in earlier times, namely a utensil that was repaired with a metal patch. So what used to happen was, today we don't find such things, but they used to go to a blacksmith. If they had a hole in their pot, what would they do? They would have it soldered on. You would have a patch to the pot, so that now they don't have to buy a new pot. It was cheaper to go to the blacksmith and have him patch on a new piece of metal. So we're going to talk about those types of utensils first. Now, we don't have the same thing today, particularly silver. We mentioned this previously when we talked about kashering. If silver was used, many times silver would be taken to the silversmith and he would repair. If there was a hole, if the stand, whatever it was, they would resolder on silver. Kli sheyeshlo tlai, a utensil that has a patch, imhu be'inyan, if it was attached in such a manner, sheyesh lachush, with his room or concern, shema yesh tachas hatlai mashu chametz be'in, that perhaps there is a small amount of actual chametz beneath the patch. Azai, the law is then tzorch mikodem l'labein oso makom ad sheyeda beveru she'im hayasham mashu chametz hayanisraf. So the first thing you need to do is do libun on it, which is under direct fire, torch it, to the point where if there was chametz under the patch, that it would be burnt out, and then you do hagalah. So until he knows for certain that had there been a small amount of chametz there, it would be burnt up. And then he can do hagalah on it. Ve'im ein chashash. And if there's no concern that there was chametz there, sheyesham chametz be'ein, azai im hoya hatlai naseh koidem sheimshtamshu bo chametz yochol lahagilo kemo shehu. If the patch was made attached to the utensil before they used the utensil for chametz, so it was done before you used it for any type of chametz, he may perform hagalah on it as is with the patch, For in the same manner that the pot absorbed the chametz through the patch, it will expel it through the Hagalah. The kemosha bolas chametz kach yaflitu ba'Hagalah. Yaflito ba'Hagalah. Aval. Im nishtamish tchila b'hakli chametz. But if the utensil was first used for chametz, and then the patch was placed on it, then Hagalah is not effective. For the area that is underneath the patched area. Rather, additionally, before Hagalah, one must place coals on the patch, in order to do libun on that place, which is direct fire. V'im atlai nischaber behatochas bdil o kesef v'chadome yochel ha'agilu k'moshu. However, if the patch was attached by soldering it with molten tin or silver or the like, one may perform hagalah on it as is, for the absorbed chametz was burnt up then during the soldering, and therefore we're not concerned. Flavor is generally not transferred into the walls of the utensil without any presence of heat. So cold doesn't transfer flavor. Heat transfers flavor. It's a general principle in the laws of kosher, right? So therefore, a utensil that was used only for cold food may usually be washed out thoroughly and used for Pesach. In this ifim that follow, Kitzur cites a number of exceptions to this. Madocha, a mortar in which food substances are crushed or ground, in a region where the manner is to crush in it, Devarim charifim, sharp food items, im chametz biyachad, together with food, tzarich libun kal, it needs a light torching of libun. Dahainu, that is, shememalim bo gecholim bo'aros, we fill it with burning coals, sheyar tiach kol kach, so that it is heated to the extent ad shehakash nisraf olav mibachutz, that the straw would burn if it would come in contact with it from the outside. Ubemakom she'ein darko laduch bo rak pilpilin v'kadome sagi ba'Hagalah, in a place in which the manner is only to crush in it pepper and the like, and no chametz, Hagalah suffices. Okay, so what are we holding here? Oh, we can do this. Another exception to the rule that a transfer of flavor cannot take place without the presence of heat in a utensil in which cold liquid was held for 24 hours. This is due to the principle known as kavush kemevushal. Soaking is the equivalent of cooking. That is, if a utensil soaks in a liquid for a 24-hour period, and similarly, if a container holds a liquid for 24 hours, the utensil or the container absorbs the taste of the liquid as if they had been cooked together. Accordingly, if a chametz liquid was held in a barrel for 24 hours, the walls of the barrel absorb the taste of the chametz. If the barrel was then emptied and a non-chametz beverage was then held there for 24 hours, the second beverage will in turn absorb the chametz taste and is now contained in that is now contained in the walls of the barrel and will become prohibited for use on Pesach. So if you had your wine you put into a barrel that had in it something chametz, that wine now cannot be used for Pesach because the stuff that were in there, the chametz stuff that were in there for 24 hours prior to putting in that wine in that barrel, got it into the walls, the flavor, and now putting in the wine in there, the flavor is going to go into the wine. And that wine cannot be used on Pesach. For this reason, a barrel in which whiskey of chametz grain was held for 24 hours requires hagalah before using it for Pesach. This Sif discusses an issue that would need to be addressed before performing this hagalah. Keilim shehechzik bohem yain saraf likiyum. Regarding utensils in which whiskey or any hard liquor was held for storage, ein tam v'reach hayain saraf niflat al yidei hagalah. The flavor and odor of the whiskey cannot be purged by means of hagalah. Rak im bishul osa im bishel oson hetav, unless one thoroughly cooks or boils the utensils, b'mayim im efer, in water and ashes. As previously, in previous generations, that we use ashes as a cleaning agent. Today we use soap, right? Until the odor is completely removed from it. Only then, afterwards, would Hagalah suffice for it. So, Kitzur now introduces a method of performing Hagalah that can be implemented when a utensil that was used for whiskey cannot be inserted into a pot of boiling water for the Hagalah process because it's too big. Hagalah sachavis, the Hagalah of a barrel, yasa b'derech sesa. How should he do it? It's a bigger barrel. He has a pot, but he can't fit the whole barrel into the pot. Yilaben avonim, one heats up stones intensely, via simembo, and puts them into the barrel, via ore aleim mayim roitchem mikli rishon. He should pour boiling water on top of the stones that he has there that are really, really hot. A vessel that has been heated on a fire, v'yigalgel es achavis, and then you roll the barrel, kedei shetagia hagalah b'kol makom, so that the way the steaming hot water and stones get to every part of that barrel. V'achaviyos shalonu, in our barrels, shehin asuyin mikam dapim, that are constructed of numerous staves or panels, michubarim ba'cha shukim, that are connected with hoops. Im amad Bohem chametz, if chametz was held in them, could go in yain sarf like whiskey, or shehechzik bohem kamach, or if they kept flour in such barrels, lo mahani le hagalah is not effective because they're different panels. I'm assuming that it's because they would get in between. When the barrel is constructed from a number of staves or panels that are held together by the hoops, it is virtually impossible to fully rid them from the residue that has become embedded in the crevices. They can therefore not be kashered. So if you use sherry cask, is wine first and then you use it for whiskey. But if you use the opposite, you use bourbon barrels and then you're putting your kosher for bourbon is different because it's made out of corn, which is kitnios. But let's say keep it with whiskey, right? So whiskey, which has actual wheat, and that's pure chametz, the purest chametz, you wouldn't be able to use the modern day barrels because they have these separate panels, and because in the cracks and the crevices in between those panels, it's going to be virtually impossible to kosher them. Halacha number 9. Kol davar shetzarich hagalah, anything that requires hagalah mahani lekalipa, peeling off a layer of the utensil with a craftsman's tool is not effective. Elavada eladafka hagalah. Only hagalah is effective. So chiseling off a layer of the pot is not going to do anything. You have to do it with hagalah. Hagalah is the only way you can kasher it. We have just a few more halachas here. Is this too much for everyone, or is we good? Okay. Okay, so halacha number 10. We have 18 total. We'll stop here. Let's stop here. Next week, God willing, we'll continue from halacha number 10. We'll have part 2 next week. Now we're going to open the floor to your questions. My dear friends, listeners, viewers, you can be part of our class by asking your questions online. Send it in email to askaway@torchweb.org, askaway@torchweb.org. I look forward to seeing your questions in my email box, my inbox, and sharing them with everyone in our broadcast. I look forward to hearing them. Till next week, my dear friends, have an amazing week. And here we go with Ask Away number 37.
You've been listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe on a podcast produced by Torch, the Torah Outreach Resource Center of Houston. Please help sponsor an episode so we can continue to produce more quality Jewish content for our listeners around the globe. Please visit torchweb.org to donate and partner with us on this incredible endeavor.
Thank you, Rabbi. I understand there's a fundraiser going on. Why would listeners want to donate to Torch versus other organizations?
So very, very good question. Very valid question. I want to tell you something like this, okay? Torch is here for one reason. Torch is here to share the word of Torah with the world. Any one of you listeners out there listening on a podcast, listening in a video, last year alone, our video exposure grew 295%. If I told you that there was an investment in the stock market that is going to grow 295%, everyone would invest. I am telling you, my dear listeners, that last year our YouTube videos alone grew 295% by our viewership. Our podcast, there are many podcasts that grew by well over 200% as well. This is a great investment. I really believe so. I really feel this in my bones. I know myself that I keep a very meticulous log of all of our videos. Last year in 2025, we published 1,092 videos. I don't know about you, but I think that's a lot of videos. Baruch Hashem. To me, it's an exceptional privilege to be able to teach and learn Torah together with so many amazing people, not only you here in the room and those of you on Zoom every day, but also those listening on the podcasts and those of you watching live online or later online, or video on demand. And we're on all these different platforms. It's all because we have a foundation here in Houston, Texas, where we learn, teach from our Torch Center and share that Torah with the world. That's just one component. We have the Torch Center, we have our Torch Media. We also have Torchwood, which is a Torch community with now 15 families, robust programming for the men, for the women, for the children. Every Shabbos, there's over 100 people there for Kiddush and for davening. It's unbelievable what goes on over there. And then we have our newest young professional division, our Unify. It's just unbelievable the things that are going on. And what we're trying to do is really open up for people one time a year where we ask everyone to invest in Torch. This is a time, get in on the ground floor, because the mitzvahs that we're trying to do, we cannot do without the support of the community. That's the honest truth. I don't say it as a cliche, oh, we're partners, da-da-da-da. We cannot do it. We can't keep these lights on. We can't record. We can't have these cameras. We can't do the broadcasting. We can't do any of this without the support of our partners. And therefore, this 1 week that you have, you can go to givetorch.net, givetorch.net, and contribute. Every dollar that you contribute is matched by donors. The entire week, the campaign will be up till we reach our goal, because this is our budget for the year. We do everything we can to not stop even a single program to raise money. We're continuing. All of our classes will be on. Our Monday Lunch and Learn will be on. Our Monday night Musar Mondays will be on. Our Tuesday morning classes will be on. Tuesday night classes, Wednesday, everything is on. Because that's why we're here. We're here not to raise money. We're here to teach Torah. So if y'all would be so kind and generous and support us, we'll be able to end this campaign, just like they did for the temple, right? What happened in the temple? They said, enough donations. I'm ready to do the same. Please help us, my dear friends. GiveTorch.net. GiveTorch.net. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate your question.
Now, I want to talk about giving to Torch.
Okay.
We are so blessed that God has given us, and it's not just for us, it's for the whole world. As a matter of fact, our choice being chosen is to be a light to the nations, to bring Torah to everyone, okay? They don't have to all do the commandments, but this is, as you have often said, the owner's manual for living. And for those of us who grew up at a time where a good Jewish education was not available to us, now there was a little bit here, a little bit there. I am so grateful that I get to come here 4 times a week. But more importantly, as a good friend of mine once said, if you could learn everything from a video or a book, there would be no universities. And here at Torch, not only can you come and participate, but even if you can't come, we take people on Zoom who ask questions, And I don't know any other organization where you can actually participate long distance with a rabbi. So studying Torch is like trying to eat an elephant. You do it one bite at a time. How do you learn Torah? One bite at a time. And that's what you give to us. And for all of you out there, not only is this invaluable, you couldn't put a dollar value on it, but in addition to that, it's always free. And the only way it is always free is if you help provide the funds that we need. They only ask once. You go to some places every single week, they pass the pot and try to get money out of you. Yeah. But here, they wait once a year. They don't bother you. They don't send out a gimme, gimme, gimme. Once a year. That's all we ask. GiveTorch.net. All my friends are my friends from class. And my rabbis, they're my friends. That is my solicitation from y'all to please contribute. GiveTorch.net. Thank you for letting me speak.
Supporting Torch is one of the best things you could possibly do. It will change your life, Jewish, not Jewish. Being part of Torch will inspire you, will teach you life lessons, and will give you all the tools you need to be successful in life, marriage, family, and all areas of your life. Support Torch if you can. We thank you very much.
I know with confidence that the Almighty will succeed our way and we will raise all the money we need to continue to operate. But I want you to be part of it. And if you can please, whatever donation amount, the smallest, the largest, it doesn't make a difference. I want you as a partner. If you can please go to givetorch.net and donate so that you can be a partner in what we're doing, I'd greatly appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy this episode.